What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl, Toya. This episode is called Do the Hard Things. And I meant that in the most PG way possible. But hey, take it how you want, all right? And the reason that I called this episode Do the Hard Things is because all of us want to be great. All of us want to be brilliant. All of us want to be successful. All of us want this place of peace, joy, comfort, happiness, right? But we forget, or sometimes we don't realize that in order to get to those feelings and those places of success, we have to do some hard things, right? And I also realized that when we are trying to be great, that greatness doesn't come until you overcome something hard, something difficult, right? Nobody that we know who we consider great had an easy story. For example, some people, and y'all could drop some people that y'all think are great in the chat or legendary. It can be your mom, your dad, your cousin, your great auntie, or it could be a celebrity. Like for me, I love Maya Angelou, right? Had a very hard life. People like Steve Harvey had a very hard life, but they've reached that point of success where they can get all of this recognition, all of these accolades, and we have to acknowledge the difficult things that we have to go through in order to be great. Because, right, when we want to be great, we don't really take value or add value or consider things to be valuable unless we overcome something. Things that are easy to us, we oftentimes don't appreciate. Things that are easy to us, people that are easy to get, sometimes we don't appreciate, right? So that acknowledgement of what is great, what is brilliant, what is genius, what is legendary comes from difficult things, right? We find more value when we have to work hard for something versus something that we don't, right? Because then if we didn't have difficult things and we didn't overcome difficult things, if we didn't achieve things through difficult moments, we would have nothing to celebrate. Right? And everybody want to celebrate. Everybody want to pop bottles and be at the parties and have your name in lights. But we have to acknowledge that you don't get there without doing the difficult things. Okay? So this is my challenge to you to always take, well, not always, but to take that harder road. And I'm not saying things that are strained or things that are very much not for you and in alignment with your goals and your purpose. I'm speaking about those things that you want, right? It's crazy. I was just watching a video that I made a couple years ago, y'all, before I started my podcast, where I was kind of just talking about, and I'll probably drop it in my Facebook group and on Instagram if you follow me over there. I was just sort of talking about my vision for Universal Teas and this podcast. And things get difficult, right? And transparently, like I've mentioned before, when I first started, there was a whole lot of hype. There was a whole lot of talk. There was a whole lot of people in the chat with me. But more recently, it's been difficult to come here every week only because I haven't had as many people on my lives, right? I haven't had as many people engaged. And so it's easy, right? The easy thing for me to do is, well, there are not that many people listening. There's not that many people engaged. I'm not going to do it anymore, right? But instead, I'm deciding to take the harder road and just continue to persevere, right? You don't reach success without doing things that are difficult. The first note that I have for this episode is choose your hard. I know you all have seen some of these posts where they talk about being broke and struggling is hard, or working your ass off until you get the money that you want is hard. Choose the thing that is more difficult, right? Being uneducated, trying to get a career without a degree is hard, or going to school, busting your ass to get good grades and then stepping into that is also hard. Choose what you want, right? Being with somebody who you don't love and trying to make a relationship work that isn't for you is hard, right? Also walking away, but making sure that yourself and your mind and your spiritual and your mental and emotional health are well is hard. So you have to choose which difficult road you want to take, because if you want to be great, it's not going to come easy. If you want to be mediocre, it'll happen, right? Things happen to us every day. Hey, Nene girl. But you have to choose your hard. You have to choose your difficult road. Do you want to struggle? That's hard. Struggling is hard. Living paycheck to paycheck is hard, right? Not knowing when you're going to eat is hard. Not knowing how you're going to take care of your kids is hard, right? But it's also hard being alone and sitting with yourself and planning out things and being consistent and being disciplined. Those things are also hard, but the reward that comes from them is always going to be greater. Choose your hard, okay? Right? The next thing, don't be afraid to fail. So in this quest, in this journey to be great, in this journey to achieve more, in this journey to kind of be the best person that you were meant to be, you have to be able to fail, right? Don't be afraid of that. I actually had a situation today that I could probably call a failure, but I don't, right? Because doing what I did was difficult. Putting yourself out there is difficult. You know what I mean? It's difficult to overcome those mental battles, but when you do, but when you overcome those things, when you finally achieve, or when you get your breakthrough, or when you get to what it is that you were meant to do, going through all of those difficult things becomes worth it. Right? I would rather be a person that tried a million things versus someone who sat and thought about how difficult it would be to do those things, right? You're never going to make it anywhere if you're afraid to try and if you're afraid to fail. Failure is where we learn. I talk about this all the time. Failure is where we sort of sit back. If you go to the bottom, I say all the time, there's no place else to go but up. So you can't be afraid of the bottom. You can't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid of the difficult moments, the difficult things, the difficult situations, the difficult conversations, right? That's how you get to those places of peace and comfort. It's when you get through those difficult situations. If you're in a relationship, have those difficult situations. If you're in a strained relationship with the boss at work, having those hard conversations is how you get to a breakthrough. It's how you get to understanding. It's how you get to healing. You can't heal something that you've never addressed. Right? We deal with difficult things. We have things that bother us, and it's hard, right? It's hard for us to sit with those things, but you cannot heal something that you're afraid to address. Oh, I didn't know if y'all heard me the first time I said it, so that's why I said it again. Hey, Ratel. So you have to really be so confident in your vision. So something else that I watched this video, and I promise y'all, if y'all are in the Facebook group or follow me on Instagram, I'm going to find a way to get this posted. But it was just crazy just watching myself talk about this like 4 years ago, y'all. And I've only been podcasting for like a year and some change. But 4 years ago, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted, and it's been difficult. I struggled with mental health things. I've struggled with all types of relationships, right? And I'm not just talking about romantic. I've struggled with things in my career, things in my life, financially, right? But it's more difficult for me to struggle than it is for me to go through those uncomfortable moments and win. So sitting in your discomfort, sitting in your failure, sitting in your struggle, sitting in your misfortune is not going to do anything for you. That's hard, right? But make your hard times worthwhile. And the way that you do that is not giving up on yourself, being clear in your vision, being disciplined, being consistent in what you do to get to where you want to go, okay? It's hard to be stuck. Trust. It's hard to be broke. Trust, I know. It's hard to be in a situation that you don't really want to be in, that you know you deserve to better from, but it's also difficult to achieve, right? I'll take a couple long nights of busting my ass if the outcome is going to be me being greater, being wiser, being more successful, being finer, child. I'll sit in the chair and get my box braids for 7 hours if that means I'm coming out the chair looking fine, snatched, sexy, slayed, and slayed. Okay? Versus sitting in somebody's cousin's basement for 2.5 hours and coming out looking like I just did crack for 4 years of my life because my hair fucked up. I'm just saying, choose your hard. Choose your hard, okay? The next thing that I wanted, I said, nothing worth having is going to be easy. Nothing. Right? And you weren't here earlier, but I mentioned the fact that we have to understand that all the people that we consider to be great, all the people that you idolize, we all look up to people, we all think that someone is brilliant, they have a backstory. And oftentimes, we don't even realize what their backstory is because their success, right, outweighs all of the difficult things. They made their hard times worth something because they never gave up. And those hard times don't even bother them anymore. Right? When you achieve, when you step into your greatness, when you step into your purpose, when you fall into all of the good fortune that God, the Most High, the ancestors have for you, your difficult moments seem so minuscule, right? It was hard when you were in it, but you're going to get to that place where you're coasting. You have to allow yourself the time, the space, the opportunity to grow and get to those easier times, right? Hard times don't last forever. I'm trying to see. Y'all quiet. I had another point that I want to make, and I said that this episode would be fairly quick. You wouldn't be presented with challenging things if you weren't equipped to face them. For all my church folk out there, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Right? You're never presented with something that you can't overcome. Now, hear me and hear me clear. When I say overcome, I don't mean that you will always succeed. But I mean that there's always a lesson there. Right? You were faced with this situation because there's something for you to gain from that situation. Whether it be a lesson for the next time you try, whether it be you realizing that that's not for you. Okay? Just because you're faced with something difficult and you're probably down on yourself trying to figure out why me, why this, why that. Every situation, what did I say? You wouldn't be presented with anything if you weren't equipped to handle it. Now, I said equipped to handle it, not equipped to win at it. You're not always going to win. And you have to acknowledge, right? Acknowledge the fact that you won't win, but don't entertain it. Acknowledgement and entertainment are very different. Oftentimes, we get so caught up on our failures because we give them so much entertainment. I was watching a video and Kevin Gates. He said, if people don't give him respect, right, he's not going to become confrontational, but he going to leave the clowns to the circus, right? If you entertain those things that are beneath you, you become a part of the circus. You don't need that. Being the clown is easy. Being the ring bearer. What's the people called in the circus when they in charge of the circus? The ring master. Being the ring master of the circus is difficult. Being a part of the circus, anybody could put on a red nose and be a clown. That's easy, right? But to make the animals dance, to make the show come alive, that is difficult, right? You can't appreciate your greatness if you've never failed. You won't have any gratitude towards your wins, your successes, the things that you do have in life if you've never had them, right? People who are born into money don't know what it's like to be broke, so they don't have the hustle. Right? If you go broke, let's say you good now. I'm good now. But I know I'm always going to be good because I still got hustle in me. So me failing, if I lose everything I have right now, I bet you I know how to get it back. Right? I know who to call if I need to get it back. That would be hard, right? But because I've already been there, because I've already experienced not having a whole lot, I ain't afraid to go back there. I've been there before. It's going to be hard, but I know I can win. So you have to know and understand that you're not faced with anything just idly, right? You can't be afraid to lose. I've lost before, okay? I've lost before. I'm not afraid to lose, and you really have to challenge your mind to think that way, because a lot of times we're afraid of failing because we've never experienced failure in that nature before, right? If you interview to be a CEO of a company, or you try to pitch an idea on an art deal that you have, you've never failed in that manner, so you make yourself afraid. But you have to remind yourself, I failed before, and I'm still okay. I failed before, and I still made it out. I failed before, and I found my own path, right? You got to figure out where your lane is, because if you're trying to do everything in everybody else's lane, you always going to run into traffic and issues. Okay? Stay in your lane. There's no traffic there. Facts. But you know the struggle, and it's real, but you pick yourself up and keep going, and you have to. Right? Because life is hard. Life is hard, but you have to choose your hard. Are you going to be hard on yourself because you don't have something? Or are you going to bust your ass and be hard on yourself so you can get something? Oh, hold on. I'm going to say that again. Are you going to be hard on yourself and down on yourself because you don't have anything? Or are you going to be hard on yourself and bust your ass so that you can't have something? Choose your hard. If I'm not failing, I'm not growing. And that's just period. Right? Nothing that is worth having comes overnight. Okay? Nothing that's going to make you grow is going to be comfortable. We grow in the midst of discomfort. Okay? So yeah. That's the points that I wanted to make. I'll go back through them really quick. I'll give y'all something to, you know what I mean, work on, journal if you want to do that. But one, I said choose your hard. Being broke is hard. Working hard to get a whole $1,000,000, $1,000,000,000 is hard. Choose your hard, right? Don't be afraid to fail. That's where growth happens. When you fail, you end up adding things to your tool belt. You got heavy artillery. The more you fail, the more you grow, the more you know, right? The more difficult something is, the greater the reward is, or the more grateful we are for it, right? Things that come easy, we don't really appreciate. Okay? So those harder things, take the heart away. Don't be afraid of those dark moments, because once you make it into the light, you're going to appreciate it. You can't be afraid of the dark moments, because after you make it out of the dark moments, that's when you appreciate the light. Okay? You're not going to appreciate light if you've never been in the dark. You're not going to appreciate the light if your light's never been cut off in your apartment. Right? You don't see value in things that you've never lost. Right? You don't appreciate a meal until all you had to eat was noodles and Polar sausages. Huh? You don't appreciate a warm shower and a hot bath until you had to heat up some water on the stove. I mean, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but the more difficult something is to get through, the more you appreciate it. Okay? You don't appreciate life until you've almost lost yours. I don't know if y'all had that experience, but I have. Right? You don't appreciate your days. You don't appreciate the money you do have until you pinching pennies. Oh, I'm just saying. We really have to learn to embrace the difficult times. Because when you make it to the light, the difficult times ain't going to mean nothing. And I'm not going to say they don't mean nothing, but they don't impact you, right? If anything, they elevate you, because you know, I've been here, I've been in the dark, and I'm not going back there. So whatever it takes for me to stay out of the darkness, that's what I'm going to do. Choose your heart, right? The next one. No one who is considered great or legendary, what it say, has an easy backstory, okay? Nobody who we think is great great just because. Nobody who is great has an easy backstory. Right? We ain't got no choice but to be quiet. You eating us up. I'm just telling y'all what I know. I don't talk about things I don't know. But yeah, people who are great all have a backstory. Sit with somebody who you think is great and ask them what they've been through. Ask them what they've overcome. Right? Ask somebody who you think is just so calm and well put together how they got there. They have a backstory. Everybody. We all do. Right? So if you want to be great, you have to understand that greatness, you're not born into it, right? Unless you like Blue Ivy, Rumi and Sir, whatever. They were born into greatness. But they still have to forge their own path, right? Because they don't want to live in Beyonce and Jay-Z's shadow. At some point, they're going to want to have their own story, right? And the last point. You wouldn't be presented with these difficult times if you weren't equipped to handle them. And keep in mind that I said handle them, not win. You're not going to win at everything. So, with that being said, as I close us out, I want y'all to remember, do the hard things, right? Do the things that are unfamiliar. Don't be afraid to fail. Right? Because at the end of the day, when you come into the light, you're going to appreciate it. You can't appreciate the light if you've never felt the darkness. Okay? Thanks, y'all. Go ahead and share the video. I told y'all this is going to be quick. I just had to get that out of my spirit. Me, Pat, and Ron about to go finish our night. But, short, simple, to the point. This is only we had 19 minutes, about 20 minutes. But I love y'all. Share the video. See y'all next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week if y'all know something. Also, I forgot to mention, there's only 4 episodes left in this season. So I do 15 episodes a season, and this is episode 11. So we got 4 more episodes. I need to get some more guests on here. I don't know who they're going to be. It might be you. But let me go ahead and close us off. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me right here on Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast. I love y'all so much. Make sure you join me every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on my Facebook Live. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast and share it with your favorite people who need to hear it. See y'all next time. Bye.